So it sits there, and then that's when I start to do my post-production. I go into Camera Raw, as I said, I do my little corrections. And then what I do is um, I'll take it into Photoshop and then I start to work with my masks. Generally, in the case that we're talking about with that image, the image that we're discussing, the background needed to come out. I did not want a coffee shop in the background. So that was going to get masked out.
Oh,
So
Tim Horton's not going to be happy about that.
I know,
Okay.
I know, I know. So masking happens in Photoshop. You know, the polygonal lasso tool is used a lot, and the brush tool is used a lot in my post production. I create my mask, drop out the sky, and then I got some new grad filters that I've created, various densities of tone, black, black, black to white, which I've created, and it sits on my hard drive, and I'll incorporate that into the sky. In this case, in this image, it's purely I put in the sky. But a lot of my images, I'll use the existing sky at a different opacity in a combination with my grad filter, in a
Wow.
combination. Because sometimes I would like to bring back a little bit of the original sky in just a very, very low opacity, just to see that it's not just a streak of light. That streak of light has almost become like a signature for me.
Yeah.
Over the years, you know, I just like, it's like I sign it. I sign it with a streak of light. Obviously, we have to know where the light's coming from. Can't just put in a streak of light. Got to know the direction of the sun. So, as I say, so I'm working in layers, bring it in, I'm in Photoshop. I bring in my grad filter into it, right? And then I will work on the grad filter with a very soft feather brush to create the density that I like. So that's what I pretty much done in that image. Now we'll talk a little bit more because the image was a single image, which kind of progressed to an image facing each other in a vertical orientation,
Like a mirroring concept.
a mirroring concept. And because of the defined point, very defined edge, I felt like this needs to fuse in a way. And that's my image is the two in a
Fascinating.
vertical format, almost with fusion. And then in that case, it's coming together. And now, how do I really emphasize fusion? And that's why I used a diamond and grad filter, which is one of the Photoshop presets. You can use a diamond shaped grad filter, and you can adjust the size accordingly of that grad filter of the diamond shape. And I placed it right behind the two objects, and created that kind of burst of light that can fuse. Yes, it's taken. I have worked on it endlessly. Learned to work with layers. Learn to work with opacities. I find opacities are so great and creative. If you can bring in a layer and then
Okay.
just kind of work with the opacity, it's amazing how creative that image can get.
And then from there, do you go to the gradient filter that you were talking about, like a diamond filter or one of the other gradient filters in Photoshop?
Yeah, so that, as I said, sits on my hard drive. I've got various grad filters that I've created, and I bring them in accordingly. That's right.
Wow.
So the diamond grad filter, it all happens in Photoshop. And if you've got layers and layers and layers, you can move them around. It's just kind of it's playful. Move it up, move it down, move it in, move it out, reduce your opacity, just till you get that desired effect.
So an unwritten rule that I'm hearing is stay flexible because as I work my workflow, the image may take off in a slightly different direction
Yes.
based on
Yeah.
what you discover.
You're absolutely right, David.
Oh,
When I
wow.
do, when I kind of do my workshops and when I do my teaching, I say, you know, have a vision. You can't just be clicking that shutter. Have a vision of what you think you're going to do with that. It doesn't have to be in stone, but you have to have a really basic idea or a good idea what you're going to do with that in post-production. Yes, things evolve. I think I'm about 80% vision, and it's taken a long time over the years, and maybe 20% evolves. Because it's like an artist on a canvas, right? Put a little bit of paint here, a little paint there, and slowly it starts to evolve. So I see that in my post-production.
Amazing. You just mentioned your educator classes, your photography workshops.
Yeah.
Made me think of a question. If someone in your workshop approached you and asked, what are the three critical keys to success in creating an image like the one we're talking about today? What would you share with them and why?
Yeah, thanks, David. I think vision is number one. You got to everybody has their own vision. I can teach somebody how to see something. What you do with that afterwards, that's your own interpretation, your own vision. So I think the first thing is I show people kind of something a little bit beyond what the obvious is. So really looking really, it's not focus, it's just observing your environment. And I give that as a strong tip when I do my workshops. Have a look at this. Whether it's a stop sign, look at the light falling on it. You would just walk by that stop sign. But if you have a kind of idea or a vision of what you're going to do with it, maybe it can be a work of art. A hydrant,
Yeah,
one of those fire hydrants, right?
yeah,
A mailbox, a chain, anything can be a screw. I've done some images where, you've got these bridges and you've got these heavy bolts that sit
yeah.
as part of their foundation, right? And I've got a shot of a screw, which I've made in almost like an architectural form. So I come in really, really close, exaggerated it, and it almost looks architectural. So those little things, those little details to look at.
Okay, so the number one critical or key success area is vision. What's number two? Critical success factor.
I think that your critical success is know your stuff. Know your camera. Camera has to be the fun of it. I think knowing your camera is a fundamental um, necessity because the camera is just a vehicle to the image. It's just going to be there to take that image. Know that it has to kind of be second nature to you, right? And that I feel is critical, because then it frees you up for what's in front of you. It just really has to be in your hand, and you are going to dictate what it's going to do. So I think that is critical.
All
Know it
right.
in
So vision number one, know your equipment, know your camera and your lens, what they can do.
and
What's the third critical key to success for creating that finished image then?
I think learning, I believe learning light and shadow and how it defines a subject is critical. You have to be educated and know exactly what the light is going to do on a structure. I think you have to really know how light performs, because it performs so differently in an open area, in a closed, shady area, because the shade can be beautiful, the way light falls in there, that diffused light. So
Yeah.
study light, study times of day, become a learner, become a visual learner. You get out there, when you don't have your camera, still take photographs with your eyes, observe, learn, and
It's what I
study
call
vi-
visual practice.
visual practice, and then study black and white photographers, study artists, study how the famous painters painted with light. So I think
Wow.
education is super important, and have influencers. Don't you don't have to go out there and duplicate what your influencers do, but have that strong influence in your work, that it becomes part of you, an extension of you. So I think studying photographers, architects, artists is critical.
Excellent, excellent stuff. Wayne, this has been absolutely fascinating, instructional for me at least, which kind of brings me to a question that I think we'll close the episode on. In today's world, what do you see as the greatest opportunity and the greatest challenge to photographers today who want to explore and improve their own black and white photography?
Right. Well, I think with the modern age of digital photography, it's endless. Ansel Adams talks about, the he knows that the computer age is here, and it's endless what you can do. And I always think of him and what he would have done in the digital darkroom, because he is one of my early inspirations. So it's just the opportunity and the amazing tools that are available to you today digitally. I know you're shooting on some film and that, but digitally, it's endless for what we can do. And let's not even talk about AI, because that's not even going to be a discussion here. But I think with the modern era of digital cameras and digital software, it is endless. The subjects are remaining the same. Everything remains the same out there. I mean, we get more modernization and everything else. But the tools that are available to you today are just unbelievable.
It's something that the way you just said that really brought something home for me personally. Going from a Leica Q2 monochrome,
Yeah.
47 megapixel, yada, 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 a huge chip, putting that aside and going back to a 25-year-old Nikon basic film camera is mirroring the traditional film with the latest modern digital software, in my case, Capture One is what I prefer,
Yeah.
you can do more with that image than a lot of film photographers think. And I don't do a lot of replacements or bringing things in, taking things out, but if I
Yes.
wanna create a great image,
Yes.
I've gotta capture it in the camera, but then I've gotta be able to make that image talk to me or sing or amaze me because of the digital post-processing.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely, David.
I
And I
th
think that, yeah, that's, I think the opportunities are endless today, but it's scary. It cannot take you away from that pure aesthetic that we've all started in photography to try and attain, because it can really take you to some dark places. It's again,
that sounds to me like the challenge part.
yeah, yeah. And I think the challenge part we're going to talk about, the challenge. The challenge is the world is flooded with images. There are millions of images out there. And because of the social media age and the internet age, we are we are seeing thousands, if not millions, of photographers out there. And how do you define yourself? So I think that is, to me, the biggest challenge. I've been able to, over the years, have my influences, but not copy what they did. Let it influence me and develop your own style. And I'm glad you said you could look at an image and say, "Oh, that's produced by Wayne." So it makes me really happy when somebody says, "Look, that image, I looked at it. I didn't even have to look at the name. It was yours." Now it has to be something that's not boring. I don't want it to be that. I don't want them to feel, well, there's another image by Wayne and it's so defined. But I think, I think we have to define our style. We have to get our own style to separate yourself in this kind of convoluted world of photography. Because, with modern cameras and then with modern smartphones, you know what you can get on a smartphone. It is crazy what those cameras can do. I stay away from using a smartphone, and when I do my workshops, I haven't had anybody come with a smartphone yet, because I think we need to use those tools that are specifically designed for photography. So there's a big challenge in this day and age with really separating yourself and really making it your own.
Let me share with you on that point. You've really hit the nexus for me because at 70, I realized that I am now a lot closer to the end of my photography journey than I am the beginning. And it's really changed dramatically in the last 4 to 5 months how I'm viewing photography. It's like I have to answer the question, why am I shooting?
Yeah.
Am I just looking to throw nice snapshots up somewhere and post them, or am I really gonna try to create something?
Yeah.
So, why am I creating? The second question is, define my voice. It's not a question, it's a statement. It's really taking the time to think about and look at what are the things I enjoy,
Yeah.
what are the things I need to learn, what is my voice in a black and white image? And that translates, I suppose, to what you said, style.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's millions of photographers out there. There's hundreds of millions of images,
Yeah.
be they snapshots or be they photographs.
Yeah.
And the famous quote comes back to mind. You don't take a photograph, you make a photograph. And that's become very real and personal to me.
Mhm. Mhm. And
Be clear
everybody.
about why I'm shooting
Yeah.
and then defining my voice, defining my style, and stay true to that style.
And correct, David, and we have to have intention. There has to be intention.
In what way, Wayne?
You have
I
to be
agree with you
intentional
100%, but I'm curious. Intention of what?
of what you're doing. It doesn't it should be, and it goes back to the visualization and knowing what you're going to do. It's not, and with digital photography, so much easier just to click that shutter because the image is not going to cost you any more money. But click that camera with intention and make it count, as if you got to get in the mindset of photographing conventionally with film. And as you said, you know, you've got film, right? You got to really, really know what you want to do, because otherwise it's just a click
You
of a
go
shutter.
broke.
We go broke. It's just a click of a shutter.
Yeah.
Look in all four corners. I've trained myself, look in all four corners of your viewfinder, because we look and maybe we're seeing the central subject, but you got to see those distractions. When I do a lot of my architecture, I look for those distractions. If I've got some metal in the metal structure, if it's if I know that I'm going to bring in some kind of grad filter, I know in post production that's going to be a little bit of a difficult one. If that metal structure has got a lot of that negative space in between, and I'm going to have to work in between that. So sometimes I'll take I'll move to a position where that metal structure is kind of hidden by a building or something else, so
Yeah.
that it doesn't have that negative space that I have to deal with. So I'm very intentional with that. I look for all distractions when I photograph. I try to keep it as clean as possible. Yes, we can take it out in Photoshop and there's great tools now and everything else, but let's first focus on getting a good image to start. So hit that shutter with strong intention.
Wonderful words to finish our conversation on. Wayne, I couldn't agree more. Thank you so, so much for sharing your wisdom, your thoughts, your viewpoints, and sharing your time so we could get this done. This has been a tremendous opportunity. Thank you.
And thank you, David, for taking this time, because I really respect people that are out there just for the passion of photography and able to do things like this. And I appreciate so much of what you're doing. So thank you.
The joy for me is in doing it. So it's wonderful. With that, to our friends and followers out there on Vero and YouTube, I wish you happy photography, shoot with intention, and don't forget Black and White Bistro, the espresso of black and white photography.
Yeah.
See you in the next episode.